All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse. We have the whole crew here today. I think we have about 60 updates. So we're going to go through the list pretty quick. I'm going to let Tom start because I love Tom. So we're
Thank
going to
you.
go with in development. This means they are working on it, they are building it, they're putting it together, figuring out how it's going to work, and then they're going to let us know. So, Tom, talk about what is in development that you are digging this week.
Well, I'm going to pick the one that we actually mentioned right before we came on air, and that is in Microsoft Planner. They are finally going to give us the ability to do recurring tasks.
You
So
mean we have to do the same things over and over again on a schedule?
you don't have to, and in Planner right now, you don't get to do it on the same schedule over and over because they don't recur. Then you have to go to do for that one. But no, they're going to be putting reoccurring tasks in Planner, which is awesome. We've had that question asked by people. It's like, well, I'd love to use this, but I need to have it like repeat every month or something like that. I'm like, well, then Planner's probably not your tool. They're going to get that in there. Looking forward to this one. They're saying November of 2021, so don't hold your breath because you'll be very blue by the time it gets here. But big deal. Looking forward to that one. I think it'll add a lot to Planner and probably help the rollout on it too. So that's great.
Nope. Awesome. How about you, Tamara?
Oh, Outlook's meeting online by default. So this we have in the browser version of Outlook of webmail. We can make meetings online by default, and this automatically adds a link to a Teams meeting. So this is coming to the desktop client, and whether you're working from home or meeting with people in other locations, all your meetings will automatically be online so everyone can attend. This setting can be disabled by users from Outlook or by admins from PowerShell. It's in its initial release, and only Teams and Skype will be supported, and third party online meeting add ins will not be included. And this is coming in August. I find it interesting that they mentioned Skype, being that
Mhm.
Skype is no longer supported. So,
Yeah, but some
but
things
I'm
die
excited
slowly.
about that.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for pointing out the fact that that was Outlook on the client because I'm
Hmm.
thinking I've had that already, but I use Outlook on the web, so that explains that. Thank you.
Right.
uh, well, a couple of ones that are coming that will be very exciting to Mac users. So, OneDrive known folder move for Mac OS, OneDrive files on demand refresh for Mac OS, and OneDrive sync client support for Apple Silicon. I don't know if you live in a household with any OneDrive users on a Mac. If you do, you'd know it. That's all I'll say because they get the features last. So, my husband will be very pleased about these features. So, um, yes, those features are coming to OneDrive. So, if you've got Mac users, you're waiting for these features, I am sure. How about you, Adam?
There's like 13 or 14 updates all related to insider risk management in the compliance center. I'm
I
not going to go
saw a
through all
ton.
of them, but they're basically working pretty hard to develop the idea of insider risk management is the idea of your own employees, your of your company, the own users doing stuff they potentially shouldn't be doing, leaking stuff they shouldn't be leaking. It's basically self-policing the end users of your environment in a way that's hopefully not too intrusive. It's more just trying to safeguard yourself from nefarious actors. There's a ton of work coming on there, which is kind of cool to see. And then I figured I'd also give a shout out. Microsoft Cloud App Security for the Gov is getting some love as well too. They talk about Microsoft Cloud App Security being deployed for GCC and actually being done in Azure Gov. So without getting too deep into the nerdy technical side, Microsoft 365 has like 4 versions. They have commercial, they have GCC, they have GCC High, and they have GCC High DoD. That's not including Germany and a couple others, but like for the US based customers, they have those 4. There's only 2 versions of Azure. There's Azure and Azure Gov. And Azure Gov has quite a few more restrictions than what's in there, but it's an entirely different world. It's the reason why B2B doesn't work between GCC High customers and going through. Normally, GCC is built in Azure Commercial, and only GCC High and DoD go all the way to Azure Gov. But the fact that they're developing cloud app security in GCC Gov or in Azure Gov is actually really cool, and means that a lot of features that are coming out, potentially all the way to what you get from a cloud access security broker, which is what Microsoft proponents cloud app security to be, coming down to all of the Gov users. That's pretty cool. You get a lot of the cool alerts if you guys haven't worked with cloud app security of both shadow IT and some of the insights from there, but even some of the really low hanging fruit value adds of like, log in an impossible travel scenario you guys have probably heard before. I log in from San Antonio, then 30 minutes later log in from New York. Well, there's no realistic scenario I could have done that, so either I'm using a VPN or my account may be compromised. And so some of the proactive security alerts like that come in cloud app security. So seeing that developed in Azure Gov and soon, because remember we're in development here, but soon / eventually coming out and being available for all the users is a really big one.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, there's some other ones that are coming in DoD and GCC High, and I'll tell y'all, I didn't know we needed these until I know we needed these, and now I hear about them all the time. And Tamara she's going to feel this with me. We're increasing chat size from 300 to 1,000 participants, and people are like, why would you need more than 300 people chatting? Well, here's the thing. If you've got 350 people in the meeting, but only the first 300 can be in the chat, it's a problem. So there really are reasons you need this, and you don't know you need it until you need it. And then once you know you need it, it's very painful. So to my DoD and GCC High, it's in development. We're coming. And also large meeting support for GCC High and DoD. So interactive meetings and webinars for more attendees up to 1,000. You really do need them when you need them. So they're coming. They're in development. It's saying July calendar year 2021. You can't hold us to it. That says in development, but they're coming. So I promise we've answered this a lot in the last couple of weeks, but they're coming. I promise. So I'm excited to see those on the in development. So
one other thing I'd like to point out is Microsoft Stream, updated web player for video and audio files across Microsoft 365. So the web player for audio and video files that are stored in OneDrive and SharePoint, including those files that are embedded in Teams, Yammer, and SharePoint, is updated with a new look and feel and adheres to greater levels of accessibility for keyboard navigation and screen readers. So hopefully this will also incorporate the closed captioning, which I know people really depend on, and transcription. So hopefully that will be in this little package. Now that's not coming down the road until September.
But it's getting there.
It's getting there.
Yeah, there's one more that I saw that I want to bring up because I think this is kind of cool, even though it doesn't directly affect me because I rarely do this. Microsoft Teams, music on hold for consult and transfer. So instead of just having dead air and you're wondering, am I still connected? Did I get lost? Now you can tell the person, please hold. And as soon as you put them on hold, you'll start hearing something like, who let the dogs out? Woof, woof, woof. Yeah, no. I knew Tamara would love that one.
It's his favorite song. He plays it all the time.
I'm not surprised.
Thank you. So basically, they will know that they are still connected to something, whether it's still their call or not. There will be music to let them know there's still a connection. So I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
We should be seeing that next month.
All right, I'm going to go through a bunch for Viva.
Okay.
I don't think that we're talking a lot about Viva yet because I think that there's still an uptick in Viva. So I think there's a lot of people watching Viva. I think there's a lot of interest in Viva, maybe not at least in my direct customer base. There's not a whole lot of people that have jumped in 100%. There are definitely people doing it, But from the road mapping perspective, tons of movement there. There's always activity. So I think it's important that we follow it. I think we need to look at it. There are definitely people jumping in, but there might be a lot of things on the roadmap that are like, oh, well, when we get to that, now I'm going to jump in. So definitely want to keep watching it for updates, but I'll read through some of them. So sorting topics in the web part so that you can sort, geo support, content, processing content that is in all regions and query from regions. That's going to be good. Accelerating publishing for topic curation. So edits on topics or new manually added topics will appear in managed topics so that they can be discovered in minutes. Integrated with Microsoft Search, bookmarks, topics, cards, and pages, excluding content from topic discovery based off of applied sensitivity labels. That's a good one. So you don't want people to, discover stuff based on topics they shouldn't be. And then also use syntax taxonomy to generate topics. So these are all good ones that are coming with Viva, refinements related to related search displayed on the topic pages. So a lot of this is basically, as you're reading through it, it looks like it's interaction. And as people are using it, people saying, it would be a lot nicer if. And then you fill in the blank. These feel what the fill in the blanks would be. So I think it's a lot of usability, a lot of great new features, and I think we just need to keep watching. A lot of this says June, July, August, September. So all of this stuff coming probably before the end of the year, but great to see all of this development. Seeing it in chunks means we'll probably see a big rollout and update to it. So lots of stuff still coming in the Viva space. So even if you don't hear updates on it all the time from Microsoft, it's clear lots of improvements, lots of activity going on there. So anything else in development, guys?
One other thing for Microsoft Teams, so team webinars, there's this talk about being able to do webinars, have the registration, being able to send out emails afterwards. And that is to integrate with Dynamics 365 marketing to enable lead, they call it nurturing, which I want to be the person who writes these. It's lead nurturing. So with this feature, webinar organizers can drive post-event engagement with registrants by leveraging Dynamics 365 marketing. The attendee engagement data syncs with Dynamics 365 marketing org and enables automated user journeys. So this is only available for users. See, journeys, nurturing. I'm loving it. This is only available for users who have the Dynamics 365 marketing SKU, though.
Yep.
So you have to have the marketing SKU.
That's really cool, though. All right. So I think we're done in development. So in that case, there's only a few enrolling out. So I'm going to let Tom go first.
God, which one do I want to take? Which one?
Just take one. There's only like 4.
I know. Scheduler for Microsoft 365. This is going to be interesting. Scheduler is a service whereby you can basically have an email and you can type in the body of the email, go, Cortana, please set an email or please set a meeting up for me and Bob, and you have got Bob on the email. Well, Cortana will then go out and attempt to find open times for both of you and set up that meeting automatically. And if Bob and you don't have a common time, it will negotiate with Bob for here's some suggested times that I see. This is going to be interesting. It's got
I'm
a lot.
going to blow it up. I'm going to try to schedule a meeting with Adam, Steve, Scott, and Bob. And we're going to either meet in 2032 or it's going to blow up.
Cortana's going to say, I'm sorry, I got nothing on this one. You're on your own. Fix it yourself.
Please give me 5 people that don't have any free time. Go find a lawsuit.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that'll be an interesting thing to see how it plays out. I'll be interested to see how accurate and effective it is. But it's out there, rolling out. You should be seeing it sometime this month. Play with it. See what happens.
It could be interesting. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. All right, Tamara, what do you think?
Word, Excel, PowerPoint for Business recommended files in Office. So Microsoft Office displays a list of recommended files on the File tab or the Start page. of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on Windows. And this list allows you to keep track of the work around you and quickly access files with activity that you value, such as edits, mentions, comments by people you interact with. And this feature uses machine learning to predict which files you're most likely to want to work on next and presents those as a set of cards you can choose from. Now, only files that you have access to in OneDrive or SharePoint are suggested. And for each recommended file, you'll see a card with a thumbnail of the file and information about what kind of activity has been happening with that file and when that activity occurred. I'm seeing some of this in, where did I see this?
OneDrive has recommended files. That's great.
Yeah, it must be OneDrive that I've seen. So I've seen, no, it's Cortana. It's been coming up in my Cortana things
Oh,
where it's like, here's a document and we think it relates to this meeting. Does it relate to this meeting? Yes or no? So I'm getting that in Cortana already.
I do love the description though, where it says to predict which files you're most likely to want to work on next. Is there going to be a feature in there that goes, you know, Tom, I'm just
I don't
thinking
want
that
to do
I really
this.
want to do anything right now and just give you a blank slate.
That's
Can I get a
funny.
nap file, please?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, one that I really like is Microsoft Teams and PowerPoint for Business. We're getting a laser pointer, a virtual
Woohoo!
laser pointer.
Woohoo!
So we can
Laser.
engage more with our audience by drawing attention and clarifying scenarios of our PowerPoint decks. So just like we would use a physical laser pointer in a room, with PowerPoint Live, we can effectively point at different places so the audience can easily follow along. I think that's great. A laser
note,
pointer.
Please put the cat down off your lap when you start using the laser pointer, or else you may have an attack screen.
Well, it
It'll
is
be fun.
something that if you are used to using, like in the normal PowerPoint, and you use that laser pointer and you get into PowerPoint Live, that's a feature that wasn't there that you really missed.
Yeah.
So, especially if you have really dense slides, which you shouldn't, but if you do, then you can use the laser pointer.
I don't know
Yep.
what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Adam, anything for you for rolling out?
No, I'm good.
All right. How about launched? Adam, I'll let you start with launched. Is there anything launching that's great? Or launched that's great?
Sure, yeah. So third-party data connectors for the Compliance Center. I work a ton in the Compliance Center. One of the things you'll find in the world of people who have to worry about compliance is it's super common that they already have solutions or third-party stuff in place. I think about hospitals that have to go through and handle stuff with HIPAA. There's a ton of stuff out there in the market. Microsoft has done a good job of bringing some of their offerings up to speed, but a lot of times, especially pre-established places, have their own systems coming in. So they basically have added in the use of third-party data connectors to import and archive third-party data from social media platforms and stuff like that. So Microsoft does great handling what you're doing in 365, but what if your users are integrated with other systems? What if they're using Facebook as a company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? It gives you the ability to import all of that data in, so that way realistically, you have everything stored inside of 365. Some of the customers I'm working with have basically embraced the idea of the premium assessments that exist in Compliance Manager, the idea that they can ultimately go through and do documentation for what they're needing for their compliance journeys through that tool and get rid of other expensive third-party tools. But that only works if you have the ability to pull in data from external sources and external areas other than just the Microsoft Cloud, because most companies that have been around for a while probably have data elsewhere too. So cool to see. Glad that it's out there. It's available for GCC now, being able to pull in. So still need another separate GCCI, but really nice to see.
That
Awesome.
sounds really cool.
Another one that I know people have been waiting for is integration of Power Automate and Power Apps for the DoD tenants.
Yes.
So that one people have been waiting for. You can automate your common tasks, customize forms, create apps from list, and use Power Apps web part. So I know there were moments of joy when that one launched. Tamara's
Huge.
shaking her head. So yeah, that one was a big one. Big happiness came for that.
Yes.
So that's a big one. Tom, anything for you in launched?
You know, launch is just pretty much all GCC, DoD, GCCI. So
We're getting some love this month.
yeah,
Yeah.
my co-presenters here definitely cover that area, and that's their world. But the only one that didn't fall into that I looked at said, "Well, that's interesting," is in Outlook. You can now dictate emails on your phone and your iPad. So just use speech to text to dictate it. I think that's really cool. I would find that even more useful for like my phone because I am not a really good thumb typer. And so if I can just launch Outlook and basically say dictate, let it speak, let it get the words out there, and then correct if I need to, that's going to give me a leg up if I'm doing a lot of email work on my phone, which I fortunately don't do, but I like the fact it's out there. So that one kind of floats my boat.
Nice. How about you, Tamara? Anything else in launch that we should touch on?
The only other thing that I can think of is Microsoft Teams updated the layouts for meetings on Android, and this is for GCC, GCC High, and DoD, and worldwide. So this came out in March, but I haven't done any meetings on my Android phone, so I haven't seen it yet. So they're improving the team experience on the Android devices with a new presentation mode. It's the ability to see more participants and the ability to see shared content and a spotlighted participant concurrently. I'm like, that's an awful lot on a teeny tiny screen,
That's true.
especially when you're wearing trifocals. So
Yeah.
it's a thing you can do. I don't know how practical it is.
Yeah. One last one I haven't launched before you move on is, well, there's nothing to move on to.
I was
till
going
we
to say,
end.
where are we going?
Is the Microsoft Graph. Now, this is only in GCC, and that means that it's already launched in commercial, and it's not yet in DoD or GCCH. So this isn't just in GCC. And this is the Microsoft Graph, new privacy controls for Microsoft Graph-based insights. And so what that means is you used to be able to have control over insights for the Microsoft Graph, meaning developers and people who are utilizing the graph, you could say, this is how granular you can get for insights. And you used to be able to get them just checkbox, this is what you get. Then they went in and made it more granular. So you could say you can get to the graph by users, and you can get to it by documents, and you can get to it by sites. So it makes it a better experience so that you can control what do I want people to get to through the graph. And that launched already out to commercial. Now it's launching to GCC. So if you were waiting for that for development, or if you wanted to have more control over that in GCC, now it's there. So that's just one of those things that launched in one environment now to the next. So I think that's all I have for launch. So if we don't have anything else, then I think we are wrapped with a
Ready to
bow.
wrap it. Yep.
Yeah, so awesome. It's been great, everybody. We didn't get our big cleanup that I was expecting today. So maybe next week, we'll see. We'll see. They've been doing some big cleanups even earlier months. So maybe we won't get that this year. We'll see. We'll see if we get the big end of the year cleanup or if it's already happened.
453 items, and we do
Right.
part 1, part 2, and part 3.
It happens, but maybe it won't this year. Maybe because of COVID, they've kept it all up. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's adorable, Jen.
Who knows?
It could happen.
It could. It
All
could.
right, everybody. Have
We'll
a
see you
great
next
day.
week.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.